I was on the tube this week because I've moved to London, Mark, as you're fully aware.
Missed you.
And I missed you too. And I think I was going from Ealing Broadway station, Central Line, heading towards Oxford Circus, something like that. Picked up a little Metro paper on the tube, flicking through. And I thought, let's go through the sports section. Got to the rugby league bit, which is, you've got to turn a few pages to get to that. And there was the headline, Flanagan banned for testicle tackle against Toronto.
Really?
And I thought, wow, surely, please, yes, that's what I was thinking, yes. I read a little bit further down, grade F attack to the testicles in Saturday's loss to Toronto Wolfpack. And then I was disappointed because, unfortunately, it wasn't our very own Mark Flanagan. It was someone who played for Bradford in the Championship.
George.
George, yeah. You related?
No.
And unfortunately, it wasn't on John Wilkin, and Wilkin's ball sack is very much still intact for now.
Great.
Which is disappointing at the same time. There is still time to change that. Welcome to Out of Your League, episode 3. Can you believe we made it to number 3, Mark Flanagan? We've sacked off John Wilkin this week. He's busy hanging out with Drake or hanging out of Drake's arse.
One of the two.
One of the two. So we brought in some bigger fish. Look at these two boys, I might say Lotharios of the sport. Mark, put your hands together, please, for Dan Sarginson and Zak Hardaker. We've got a man of steel in the house. What are we supposed to do, Zak? Are we supposed to bow down or?
Doff our cap.
Nothing like that, mate.
Flat cap. Once you're a man of steel, you're always a man of steel, aren't you?
Well, I've always got that title, which is nice when I get reminded, but I don't think of it too much.
Don't forget you can download Out of Your League via Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, and you can watch us on YouTube as well. You can also get in touch at Super League on social media. Use the hashtag Out of Your League, and we're here every week, Mark, until after the grand final. Are you two still living together?
No, it comes to an abrupt end.
Did it?
Yeah.
Go on.
No, it's wicked, mate. It's wicked, but Zak's missus took him off me. Yeah.
Ruined it.
Yeah, I had to give him back.
We actually had a really good time.
Yeah. I mean, we got through the whole Harry Potter thing. Did you ever see that on ITV2?
No.
ITV2?
So every week they have an episode of Harry Potter, and it started from the begining.
Yeah.
And Sarge never watched it, so I said, "Look, mate, you've got to get into these. They're one of my favourites. Lord of the Rings, anything.
And
any
never
sequel like that.
had Hardaker down as a Harry Potter.
I just love films.
Mate,
so
he knew every bit. If I didn't understand a bit right, he'd sit down, notepad, pen, and he'd sketch it all out for me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, if any bits that he didn't understand, I'm like, well, they did this because of this, and then this might happen later. So I had to go through it with him a little bit.
Mental.
But you got into it.
Yeah, mate, loved it.
How long did this love affair, who took the bins out, who did the dusting, how did it work?
I did everything, most things. Most
He
things.
did, to be fair. Yeah,
It's my house. So obviously, I took the role out.
Your
I
ass.
did a bit of cooking.
Yeah, my house.
It came in your ass.
Whoa. No, I did most things. He'd cook every now and then, and pretty special one of them.
All right, yeah.
El Pasta one, that sausage one.
Yeah.
For those,
Sound a bit dodgy, this, isn't it?
Spaghetti and a sausage.
He didn't give it justice.
so Zak's missus put an end to this. That's it now. You got your own.
Don't speak anymore.
Are you missing him?
Yeah, God, yeah.
It's not the same.
Yeah, just me and my dog now. It's like a nice little love triangle. Now it's just me and my dog, so it's getting a bit weird actually. Yeah.
For those listening and not watching, and trying to work out your accent.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds. I mean, we can speak sort of Cockney rhyming slang together.
Yeah.
And we've got a couple of Northern monkeys with us, but because you were born in Perth.
Yep.
But you grew up in Hemel Hempstead, London.
Yeah, Hemel. Yeah, just north of London, but people don't really associate me as a Londoner down there, but up here it's just a lot easier.
You went to a school called the Laureate Academy, now Cavendish House.
Yeah, it used to be Cavendish, now called the Laureate Academy. Yeah.
My main question: how the hell have you ended up mixing with these commoners?
I don't know, mate. I don't know, and I love it, to be fair. When I was down there, I'd done a bit with rugby union. I played union since kind of 4. Only got into league when I was kind of 14, but I don't know if there's any of them listening. All the posh boys at Sarries were just awful, mate. Yeah.
Were they?
All the private school boys, yeah, I hated them.
Like Will.
Yeah, like you, yeah. So good job we're sat apart today.
Really? So you played England schoolboys level, didn't you? Union.
Union. No, not quite that level. But I was in the Saracens Academy and looking to push on a bit. But once I'd kind of tried league and played league for a bit, mate, I just loved the boys involved.
Yeah.
And
but was league in the family because of the Perth background, and was it always there? Or?
No, it was not at all. No, just like a PE lesson at school, and some geezer from St Helens come in and said we're doing a different type of rugby today, and was all like, nah, not doing it. forgot my kit, and he'd come dig our kit out and he'd say, "No, come on, we'll give it a go." And we did it and loved it, mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
I find that, I find a lot of the London boys get into league through school.
Yeah.
So Louis the same. I think pushing that, rugby league in junior schools and secondary schools, especially down there, has been massive for the game, hasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Kieran Dixon went to the same school as me. He was a year above. He obviously made it. There's a couple of others that come through. They're just kind of on the fringe and that. But I think the school's probably the way in. Definitely.
So I did a little bit of research on your school.
Oh, here we go.
No stone unturned here, by the way.
Yep.
Careful, Zach, I'm coming to you in a bit. So you went to the same school as Harry Winks, the Tottenham midfielder.
Yeah.
Tottenham and England
That's
midfielder.
That's annoying. Because he stole the title, didn't he? He stole the title as the best sportsman.
Oh,
There's no one else. I'm not saying I'm a good sportsman, but I was probably
You
up
were the
there
man for a while.
Yeah, until Winksy turned up and
Was he there? He's a bit younger than you, isn't he? Was he there when you were there?
Yeah, but he was playing kind of 6 years above football, so he might as well have been in my year. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He was that good?
Yeah, he was decent. Yeah, I mean, I never played with him, but some of the boys around, like the years around me, played with him and said, yeah, he's pretty special.
Slightly more left field, the lead singer of The Damned, a punk rock band from the 70s.
Really?
He went there, and this was the one I loved the most. Johnny Phillips, right? Johnny Phillips is an actor, Mark, who played Charles Light-Toller in Titanic with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Which one was
Right, and he was the most senior member of the crew to survive. He was apparently upgraded to second officer just before the boat left for Liverpool, and his predecessor had the keys to the binoculars case. So he was supposed to be the one who had the binoculars, not the actor, Mark, the actual
the real guy,
who looked out for the iceberg, but they didn't have the keys, so they couldn't open the case and missed the iceberg. And he was apparently not responsible for that, but was in court afterwards. And he was the most senior, like I say, member of the crew to survive. He was the one to enforce the women and children first onto the lifeboats. He stayed right till the end, clutched onto a little iron grating next to a boiler. The boiler exploded, blew him to safety, and he was found clinging onto a lifeboat upside down.
I like that.
Wow.
There you go.
I love that story.
I don't know why they don't sell that as like a selling point for Cavendish. Come on, Cavendish, yeah, and then kind of spill all this out.
There you go. They're the most famous people at school like that.
I like
do
that.
like that.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll
The
tell you
last
that.
one was class.
Yeah, wicked, yeah.
I like that.
Decent. I'll probably let them know when I go back. They need that. They need.
Are you aware of
Did
this
you
man,
know?
Johnny Phillips?
No. But I feel like I should have like an interactive screen out the front, just playing that on the loop. I don't know. It's just I've never heard of that.
Right, let's get stuck into some. There's so much I want to talk to you guys about, and we could have done an hour with both of you and the rest. I mean, you said before we could have done about 6 months with Zach.
Yeah,
We've only got
easy, yeah.
a little bit of time to squeeze in.
Yeah.
Rugby stuff. Dan, you're leaving Wigan.
Yep.
Why are you leaving Wigan?
I've absolutely loved it at Wigan, mate. It's been unbelievable for me, and it was a massive move for me coming up. I was so scared to come up and play for probably one of the best teams in the world, arguably, and no regrets. Like won a couple of trophies and been away to NRL comeback, but just feel like I need a new challenge now. That new lease of life. And as well, just some of the stuff with my little brother, probably got stuck in a bit of a rut, and just really wanted that new kind of lease of life, and like I said, just to push myself again and meet some new people, and do you know what I mean, make some new memories.
And so, I think there's announcements imminent, aren't they? But anyone know where you're going? You know where you're going?
No, I'm not sure yet. No,
Look at that little-
I'm
I
not
would
sure.
Lots of
say
rumours knocking about.
It'd
Me
be a
and my
great
agent-
signing for any club.
Would he?
Yeah, I'd love to have him. I'd love
Including
down at
London
our place.
Broncos.
I'd love to play with you, mate. I'd love to play with you.
You might go back to London. You
never
might
know.
go home, back to
Yeah,
Leeds.
yeah. Hopefully they stay up. That could be an option. But no, me and my agent don't talk about it. We don't talk rugby.
Look at his face.
We just hope something
Mark,
comes
describe,
up.
for those listening and not watching, describe Dan's face at the moment. He's like he knows what's
He's a little bit flustered.
a little secret. a little
He's blushing
secret.
a little bit.
Right, Zach, let's come to you. Because I mean, look, we've touched on Dan's background there, and growing up in Perth and then moving to London and so on. You've only known sunny old Pontefract, and all I can tell you about Pontefract is there's a race course there, and I think Geoffrey Boycott's from there.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, probably light side I could have done with getting out of there years ago, to be fair. But yeah, it's my hometown, so.
Fond memories though, or not?
Yeah, look, it's everything that's happened in my life, good or bad, it's had an influence on myself, and sometimes you've got to enjoy the ugly stuff and learn from it, and that makes you appreciate the good stuff even more. So, the good and the bad, it's all the same to me.
See, these cameras and these microphones aren't going to phase you because you've already been to the top. I remember you had a show, I can't remember what was it called, with Josh Charnley.
Oh, the Zak and Josh show, yeah.
The Zak and Josh show.
Yeah.
Where you hang around the Trafford Centre, was it?
Yeah, yeah.
Sort of basically like a modern day Jeremy Beadle.
No, I think looking back, we were just having a laugh really, but we were doing some real stupid stuff. Like we'd go into KFC drive-through and we'd ask for some popcorn chicken, and as the woman turns around to get the chicken, we'd put some masks on and scare her to death. When she turns back round, just real stupid stuff. But at the time, people loved it. You know, I still have kids now asking me, am I going to do another show? So, you know, some people did enjoy it.
I was about to say, is it going to come back? But he's got a couple of kids now, Josh.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit more
into
grown
fishing,
up.
I think, isn't he? So
Yeah.
Probably not.
So, yeah, I could probably still do it. But, you know, I think he's a bit more grown up than me.
Need a partner?
Yes, I will do
Get
it.
back together.
Yeah.
Look, there's loads I want to get stuck into. I'm going to, I guess, start by saying, look, you've always been the golden child of rugby league. That's how you came onto the stage, but it has come with its controversies.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, who are watching and listening and who aren't familiar with the sport, and we hope there's lots of people coming to this podcast who aren't just rugby league, but you didn't play for 16 months after news broke that you tested positive for cocaine while playing for Cass. That was just days before the grand final. You were given a chance to resurrect things at Wigan, done for drink driving, a 20-month ban behind the wheel. You also investigated by the police over an assault, had a 5-match suspension for homophobic abuse. That's putting it all together, which doesn't sound great at all. And we'll touch on a few of the things. But firstly, that cocaine ban.
Yeah.
When you were playing for Cass, just take us back to that week, that moment, and what happened there. And obviously, it must have been intense.
Yeah, so it was, well, I'm going to go back to 2016. So me and my girlfriend, she was pregnant. Unfortunately, she had a miscarriage, we lost a baby. And it was a year prior to that, so 2017, I was playing for Cass. And my mum and stepdad were on holiday. And before, it's only recently I've got to grips with myself. I know myself inside and out, and I can handle things a lot better. So before, any bad news, anything that I wasn't comfortable with, I didn't know how to handle it. So, you know, going to the pub, having a few beers, forgetting about it, that's kind of my stress relief. That's what I've always probably done. And at the time, there was me and my girlfriend at home, and it was near enough the year to the day. And I didn't know what to do, so I've gone to a mate, look, can I go for some beers? I need to clear my head. Literally had a few beers, I'd one too many, ended up having some cocaine that night. Wednesday just woke up like regret, but what do I do? So trained as normal, and we played Leeds the Friday, and I reckon any other game I'd have not played. I'd have come up with an excuse, you know, Miami's gone or my head's not right. I'd have come up with some excuse, but because obviously I played for Leeds before, it's a big game. I didn't want to let the lads down. I wanted to try and play my part in the game. Anyway, played the game, and at half time, some testers were knocking about with the little logo on. So I was like, oh, what's the chances here of someone turning up on this day? And after the game, as soon as I come off the field, grabbed me, and I knew then that I'd probably still have cocaine in my system.
But that moment that you saw that drugs tester, your arse must have dropped.
Yeah.
You must have thought, I've been rumbled like never before.
Yeah, 100%. And the only thing I was thinking in the back of my mind is I might have a fast metabolism, it might have gone out, but something inside I knew I'd get done. So I told my missus that night, and I couldn't sleep for 3 weeks. And after about 3 weeks, I still didn't hear anything, so no letters through the post or anything like that. So I'm like, I might have got, I don't know how, but I've got away with it here. And then, I had the Man of Steel Awards on the Tuesday, trained Wednesday, the day off Thursday, and then my mum shouted me up. I was still living with my mum. My mum shouted me from downstairs about 11:30 Thursday, saying, oh, Dal Pal's on the phone. So I went downstairs, spoke to him, and he said, oh, he's had an email about, the drug test being positive. Just my world came crashing down to an abrupt end, really. Didn't know what to do, so I just jumped in my car and wandered off and sat down by a canal just for about an hour and a half. I can remember looking at the clouds, just thinking, what do I do? I wish I were a cloud right now, just, take me so far away from here. I just didn't know what to do. Rang my mate, I said, look mate, I'm going to get my passport, let's go on holiday. Like, this is me trying to cope with it, not very well obviously. my passport at my missus' house at the time, so I've gone, Alicia, I need my passport. She goes, why? I said, I'm going, I don't know where I'm going. She's like, don't be stupid, wherever you're going, I'm going with you. I said, well, I'm going to go with one of my friends. She went, no chance. So I ended up booking like a little chalet in Windermere for 5 days. Went down there, turned my phone off. Obviously the grand finals played 2 days later. Switched my phone on, looked at the result, Cast lost, which makes me feel even worse because, you know, hopefully, I'd like to think if I played, might have been a different result. So all the feeling of guilt of I've let the lads down and my family down. Obviously everyone's talking about it away, but I'm in my own little bubble here. I've switched my phone off and yeah,
So that was your feeling to run away.
Yeah,
from
that's how I've not been great at doing my feelings, whether it's been upset or angry or whatever it is in the past. I've always gone out or done something that I shouldn't supposed to on the back of me not handling it really well, the pressure, stuff like that. So I've not under pressure, whether it's bad or good. Even on a mega high, I've not been great at handling pressure in the past.
People who don't understand it, cocaine, and there'll be thousands of people watching, listening, thinking, I just don't understand that world. Did you? A lot of people who use drugs recreationally, they don't think they have a problem with it and they can control it. And I know you've spoken in the past where you've said, I've had 6 months without a drink or any drugs and I think I'm doing well.
Yeah.
Did you have a problem with it? How often were you using it? What was it? Was it just that one-off thing? Or
No, it weren't a total one-off, but it would just, like, it never crossed my mind. But then if I were out and then I'm with the wrong people or there's, like, back home and...
You might be with the right people.
Well, I might be the right people, yeah, and if it's there, like, I wouldn't have really fought against it, saying, no, don't give me it. You know, if someone's probably said, oh, I'm like, oh, I might have thought about it, you know what I mean? It's something that I've never really thought of until I got done for it. And then I realised, not just for myself, but how big it is in not just in my town, but, you know, around Leeds, in society, yeah. It was a question of, when I had to sit down and speak about it and have I got a problem or whatever, it just came to a bit of a light, whereas, you know, people back home is, right, I've got my phone, I've got my wallet, I've got my car keys, my house keys, sorry, and I've got some cocaine. They were the 5 things, you know, people back home check for. So it's like, right, phone, wallet, keys, cocaine. And that's the reality. Whether people want to believe that or not, that's exactly how it is. And like you say, you go to a pub, whatever you want to be, and there's always probably someone stood in a cubicle doing, I don't know, but that's the reality that I was under, and I didn't realise I was in that kind of spotlight or framework, whatever it was, until I've come away from it and realised, you know, it's a bit out there, it's a bit much that, but I didn't realise until after.
And just going back to when you got banned, obviously the timing for that was just so bad for the club and for yourself. What was the reaction from the players and the club on the back of the news? I'm interested to hear what.
Yeah, so obviously it was the worst timing possible, 2 days before grand final. So you know, Pauli were obviously devastated and really angry. He said, look, I'll speak to you after the grand final. All the lads were pretty good, to be fair. Obviously, it's Mad Monday, isn't it, after the grand final. I think they're going to Dublin and they were all trying to text me and get in contact with me about, come on, we want you to come to Dublin. I was like, I can't come to Dublin and, you know, get on the piss with you guys when I've just done that. But
just because you couldn't be seen there.
Yeah, I didn't want to be... I felt so embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like, me getting done for cocaine is one thing, but for me, it hurt more letting my team down and letting my mates down that I've trained so hard with for a full year. That, to me, hurts more than... So someone could tell me off, or, yeah, you're not doing that, but if I felt like I've let someone down and someone I care for, and the club I cared for, the players I cared for, that hurt me even more. But
and those conversations then that you had to have, you know, we'll get onto the drink driving stuff in a minute, but... At the time, I take it that your mum and family members and so on didn't know that you touched that sort of stuff. So those sort of conversations, what were they like? Yeah,
so I think, funny enough, at the time, we were like, what the hell is this? What you've been doing so far field? And at the time, it was Gordon Ramsay just come out with Gordon Ramsay with cocaine in his workplace.
I saw that. It was on TV, wasn't it?
Literally a month later. So my mum, obviously, because the cocaine thing started coming out, started reading about cocaine and watching films and documentaries about it, and it were like Gordon Ramsay went into his restaurant and tested his plates that serves food on, tested the toilets that his staff use, so not these are private staff toilets, tested all them, all got tested positive for cocaine. And I think my mum started just to realise that it's out there, it's mad. Everyone, I think people are saying that they've asked for it sprinkled on the food in Gordon Ramsay's restaurant, but at the time there were a bit of a few shows, few documentaries about it, and my mum started reading about it, and she obviously didn't want to accept it, but she knew that it wasn't this niche market where I've done something that's so left field. So she started to understand about it, and started to realise that the culture is a lot different to what she thought it was.
And Dan, this was before you two knew each other properly.
Yeah.
Obviously, you would have played against each other and so on, but before you became lovers and lived together, and that beautiful love story started. But what was that like for you? Do you remember the day when the news came out, and what were you thinking about Zak at that time?
I just remember knowing how good he was for Cass, and he was by far their best player, and just thinking they're never going to win this without him. And straight away, just felt so empathetic for how Zak would be feeling as an athlete. I think you dive straight into that. Like, I suppose as a fan, you think immediately, we're not going to win the cup, and maybe start slating him and get onto social media and start hammering the poor boy. But as a player, I knew you a bit, from the England stuff, and we were pals, and I just remember feeling pretty heartbroken about how Zak would be feeling, and a bit devastated for him, really.
Like the word you said, society, because it comes from the fact that your career is going up and up and up, and you're going towards the top, and everything's going right on the pitch and so on, but you're still surrounded by the mates and the people that you grew up with, and it is a problem for society. And so those people are with you all the way.
I think that's a massive plus of the players who play rugby league. We're so really down to earth. We kind of stay true to our roots. I still hang around with the lads I grew up with, but the fact that it is a societal problem shows that we can. If you're still hanging around with those same people, which is great because you're not getting too big for your boots, but if every one of your mates is doing it, and everywhere you go on a night out, whether you're from Oldham, Ponty, Hemel, wherever you go, and it's still happening, it's so easy to get drawn into those circles. And like Zak said, if your coping mechanism to having stress or pressure put in your life is to drink or to do what your mates would do, it's so easy to get caught into that. And like I said, it's a societal issue, and it's not a rugby league or a sports issue. It's just what's happening every day in the world.
Yeah, no, I think that we were talking on the way up, weren't we, Zak, about how, if you don't mind me saying, like you went down to your counselling stuff, didn't you?
Yeah.
And you, what's it called again?
Sporting
It's like a
chancing,
rehab thing, isn't it? Yeah, sporting chancing, and Zak was just explaining how he deals with things so much more differently, and even like when he kicks off his missus, tiny little thing like that. Like, he used to be so stubborn, and now he'd just say sorry, nip it in the bud. And I don't know, I just think you personally deal with things a lot better now, and obviously that's all in the past. And I don't think it would hurt if kind of growing up we were kind of educated in how to deal with these sort of things when they come, because everyone goes through adversity in their life.
So you feel that's something you guys never had, really?
I don't think so, unless you've kind of grown up in a family where you're kind of taught it. I don't know.
It's only recently it's everyone saying it's okay to talk, and that's only recent.
Yeah.
But say 7 years ago, if I've got a bit of something going on, I'm not going to say to at the time, I'm not going to say to my best mate, oh, I'm having problems here. I just didn't do that. I'd just go to my mate, fancy a few beers. That's how I just escape it, kind of thing. That's how I used to. But obviously now, me and Sarge were on about it just before, about how we handle things differently, and I'm totally different. Whereas I speak about it now, or I can nip it in the bud, or I don't let things get me down. Why should I let something that's not related to rugby affect me rugby, and vice versa? And it's like a bit of a workshop I did down there. You write everything down of how you react to certain things and who you've hurt and all this, and you go through it all, and at the end you screw the book up as if right, you've gone through it all, now you've conquered it, kind of thing. And I was speaking to Sarge about it, and he was saying that he's not to that level yet, and I just said it's only because I've gone through all the rubbish that I've gone through for the last 10 years that it's enabled me to do that now. But I was never equipped to do that before.
No, that's interesting. And this was all, in terms of where we are chronologically, this is all pre the driving ban.
Yeah.
And you were at this stage going back. Were you going to a factory in Lincoln and cleaning the floor?
Yeah, that's because I was working when I wasn't playing rugby.
Yeah.
So yeah,
It's quite a culture.
First time I've ever worked. So yeah, massive culture shock. Getting up at 6:30 in the morning, jumping in a van, driving down to Lincoln.
How
scrub it.
come Lincoln?
It would just it would a company in Castleford, but it would go to Lincoln, go to Nottingham. Yeah, big warehouses. Yeah, and clean like big industrial floors and stuff. And at start, I was embarrassed. I'd a coat that'd zip right up to my nose. I'd have a woolly hat on over my eyebrows. You could just see my eyes, and I'd pick litter up and everything. And it was so demoralising.
Did it feel like community service?
From where you know, I potentially playing a grand final. Man of Steel nominee. 3 months later, I'm cleaning a factory floor. It's just from one end to the spectrum to the other. But it's probably helped me, doing that work and realising what I've done to myself, and these are the consequences I've got to live with, and it's probably humbled me up a little bit, to be fair.
So let's fast forward a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play devil's advocate, because I know there still will be a lot of people watching, listening, going, talk is cheap. I'm not convinced by this guy.
Yeah.
So you get your second chance.
Yeah.
Your second big chance at Wigan.
Yeah.
And just as you're about to join comes the drink driving charge.
Yeah.
Which again, going back to, and this is whether you want to answer those critics or you feel like you've done that already. And this isn't a case of just bringing you in to apologise, because we've heard all that before. It's more getting to know you and how that worked, and mistakes happen and so on. And I know you're a high profile player, and it goes back, doesn't it, to being, there are similarities with Danny Cipriani in terms of having this God-given talent to do what you do.
Yeah.
And the microscope is going to be on you more than anyone else. But you made another big mistake.
Yeah.
And you must have been kicking yourself, thinking, how have I let myself get into this situation?
Yeah, that was the final straw. That's when, after that, I went to the Sporting Chance rehab clinic after that. But it was, I'm not using that excuse, but I wasn't playing rugby, so I was working, and then I would enjoy my weekend. I was just in that routine. And it's funny because all my friends on a Monday morning will put a picture on Instagram saying, "Is it Friday yet?" And I used to think, why would you beg for Friday when it's Monday? Obviously, being a rugby player, we finish at 12 o'clock, you get 2 or 3 days, it's easy. But I certainly got into that of, God, it's Monday, I can't wait for Friday. Do you know what I mean? Get into that kind of rhythm, and went to the pub through the week. If football were on Tuesday night, me and my mates, because I'm in the work life per se, I'd go for a few pints, because people who work 9 to 5, that's what you do, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I was into that, and I'd just started training with Wigan, and I'd gone home, and Man U were playing Derby. My friend's a Man United fan, I'm a Leeds United fan, so you can imagine the betting and what we have on. And said, look, we'll have a few pints and watch the game. Winner has to pay for the round or whatever. Got to extra time, so we had another couple of pints. Went to penalties, so there was a few more, and then we said, right, loser has to do something stupid. I forgot what it was anyway. So I got out of the pub at 12 o'clock, and I drove, and I had my golf clubs in the back, and he said, come on, we'll get to. I said, I'm not leaving my golf clubs there, no chance. I said, my car will be gone, or window will be smashed, my clubs will be gone. And that's generally how I thought. I said, you only live 2 minutes around the corner. I said, I'll just nip you off, and I live another 30 seconds the other way. So he said, all right. So I literally jumped in the car, and within 30 seconds a cop car come behind me and pulled me up. And it's just like a stupid decision. But I didn't think of the consequences at the time. I was more bothered about my golf clubs that cost £1,200. Do you know what I mean? And it's sitting here today, I can say what an idiot. But at the time, that's probably, I'm saying there's nothing wrong with that. Why would I leave my golf clubs there? I'd argue to the point of, why would I leave my expensive? Do you know what I mean? Like, this is the different things I'm thinking of now. Whereas before, I was just like, I can't leave my golf clubs there. And then I got done for drink driving. We're in the cells 14, 15 hours. That hurt most, I think. Just the white concrete slabs, walls, aluminium toilet. It was freezing, and I was just like, well, I've gone again here. And at this point, I'm thinking, what is wrong with me? Like, I came out. I spoke to my mum about it, and I started crying. I said, there's something wrong with me here. It's not right that I keep getting in trouble for stupid things all the time. So met Wigan, they gave me the chance to start with, and I've just screwed up again. And
were you thinking it was completely over then?
Yeah, 100%, yeah. Spoke to Radzi and Lenigan, and he said, what's wrong with you? And I said, look, I'm sitting across the table to you. I don't know. I said, there's something wrong with me. I don't know what it is. I said, I keep getting in trouble. I said, I don't know why. So yeah, they mentioned the rehab place. They said, oh, is it an alcohol problem? I said, I don't think I've got an alcohol problem, but alcohol's not far from when I'm getting in trouble.
You make when you drink.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. And I can't control some of the decisions. It's just stupid, do you know what I mean?
And that's probably a good time to bring in that you talk openly about it now, that you do and you have been diagnosed with ADHD.
Yeah.
And I know you don't want to use that because
Yeah.
you don't want people to think he's using that as an excuse, but that is a medical diagnosis that you've had.
And a big thing of it is, whether you drink on it or not, you make impulsive decisions, and that's one of the things with ADHD. But when I have a drink, it takes away from all of my, I don't know.
Logical thinking.
Yeah, logical thinking. Like, if I make an impulsive decision when I'm sober, or right, I'll buy that watch. It's like, I'll buy it, and then a week later, I'll be like, why have I bought that watch? Whereas if I have a beer and it's like, right, I'll do that. Because I've had a beer, the severity of it's not buying a watch, it's drink drive or...
Was that always there as a kid? Were you always that naughty boy?
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
yeah. You know, every time we used to go on holiday, Mum used to I used to have an army carton of apple juice because my mum wouldn't let me have fizzy pop. I wouldn't allow Smarties or anything.
Just because you hit the roof?
Yeah, just because I would bounce off the walls. And
I'd love to give you some blue.
Let's do it now. Let's do it now.
We should have spiked him in
We
blue
kept
Smarties.
the beers and the fizzy drinks down.
yeah, a few beers of Smarties I've got.
You sprint back and forward like that.
Yeah. My mum always knew, and then I got diagnosed in 2016, but I never really read up about it, or I didn't want to use it as a label, but obviously there is something
Because you wouldn't have known. That's just you. That's just how you've always been.
Yeah, and that's why I've always said there's something wrong with me, and I don't know what it is, and not just that, but like, why am I making rash decisions? And then I went to see a psychiatrist, and he went through everything, and it's like it was just reading things off a list that this is what in the brackets is ADHD, and I'm like, wow, that's me. And anybody who knows me would have shoved me straight in that label. Do you know what I mean? It's so that helped me a little bit to understand myself, because I just thought I was a bit not weird, but like, I don't know, is God just like prodding me? Is someone got a voodoo doll? But
that seems like a pivotal moment to me. The imagery of that, of you being in that cell, knowing that you've messed up again, big time.
Yeah.
I mean, how dark did it get for you over those years? You've always had good people around you. By the sounds of it, you've had your mum and your stepdad and your missus and good mates. Dan being one of them.
Yeah.
But were there moments where you just thought, I want a way out of this?
Yeah, there's sometimes where I was thinking, if I quit rugby and just do a 9-to-5 job and then get in trouble, will I not get... This is how I'm thinking. So if I get a 9-to-5 job, still get in trouble, because that might be all right, but the microscope isn't on me, so no one will care. Like, that was me thinking. Like, I'll still probably be a nuisance somewhere, but because I'm not a rugby league player and I'm not on Sky...
Get away with it.
I can get away with it, yeah, because people I know back home do something, it's in paper, no one's really bothered. That's my thinking at the time. But obviously, it's not, I don't want to get in trouble to start with, never mind. Yeah. Can I get in trouble and swerve around it? Yeah. So yeah, massive. I've had massive highs and massive lows in my life already. But I'm grateful for all of them, because I don't think I'd be how I am today, which is totally different. And you know, the rehab thing really did.
What was the rehab like then? Because this was Sporting Chance. This was Peter Kay's, not that Peter Kay, the other Peter Kay. That was Peter Kay's charity with Tony Adams, wasn't it? Yeah. So he's been a big help for you, Tony, as well? Yeah, it was... I didn't want to do it at all. You know, go into there, it scared me to death. Even the word rehab, before, I felt embarrassed. Why was it just uncomfortable about opening up? Yeah, I didn't want people to think I've been to rehab. It's like, it's not a really taboo thing.
Yeah, I think. And I went, and I'm not going to say I enjoyed it, but I got something out of it, and I liked it. You know, that we did horse therapy on Saturday mornings. Horse therapy. So we had to. So horses. Horse whispering. You see, we could have had 3 days on me, just me on this podcast. But yeah, there were 3 horses, and you know, they can detect whether you're not a nice person or you're nervous or no. Apparently, honestly, yeah, this is it.
So they have a good sense.
Go on, how does that work? Explain how that works.
So there were 3 horses. You could just seeing them. You know, there were a bit of an old scabby one. There was a bit of a stallion one, and there was one in between. So I was like, right, do I go for the old one and just, you know, milk it off here, or do I go for the stallion that looks a bit hard to get along with? But I thought, right, I'll go for the big one. So I did. Anyway, so So you've got to feed them, then you've got to walk them round, and then zigzag them in and out of poles and make them do like a little jump. And
have you got them on like a lead?
Yeah, on a little lead. And
to be a fly on the wall at this stage. You and Tony Adams in the field.
Tony Adams, I've got mud up to my knees, right? Woolly hat on, it's peeing it down. I'm doing horse therapy, and I'm like, I rang my mum after and said, "Mum, I see, never guess what I've been doing." So I said, "Horse therapy." I'm thinking, what's my life coming to here? But I got something out of that. You know, it's staying calm. Don't get flustered. You know, control your emotions inside. You know, don't let the horse try and read if you're nervous or scared, which I was, 'cause I'm terrified of horses. So we did golf, but there's everything's psychological. It's all in balance with yourself. And
you must have been surrounded by people at this stage who had much deeper problems than you.
Yeah. There were an ex-semi-professional footballer, a footballer used to play, and an older bloke who had something to do with football, and some of their problems were much deeper than mine. But yeah, we all helped, and the big thing for me was a booklet, and you went through with what you've done, who you've hurt, and thinking about it in your head's one thing, writing it down, and then having to talk about it in front of a group of people, and then obviously I was crying, and it brought up memories, and then I just like text them at night time saying, "Look, I'm really sorry for this in 2013," and she's like, "Oh, all right, thank you." But then it was like I was crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and after we did it, got a booklet, we put it in shredder, and it was like, whew, and it felt
start afresh a little bit.
It felt really, really good, and then I just felt like a new lease of life.
So before you wouldn't have been able to have sat here and talked
I couldn't talk about bad things I've done in the past because I can't handle it. Well, I couldn't. I can now, and it was great. You know, I speak better. I come across a lot better, so people say. I'm really comfortable about talking about anything, help anyone.
And this is where Dan came in as well, Dan. I don't want it to be just a monologue from Zak, but it's so fascinating what he's been through. But how important has Dan been to you? And Dan, what kind of guy did you meet back then compared to the one he sat next to you now? I know that sounds really cheesy, but...
Do you mean the one back when I knew him kind of at England stuff, do you mean? Or when
when you first moved in together and when you were playing golf and you spent a lot of time together.
I've genuinely, not just because he sat here, I've always seen the good in Zak. And I mean, even Steve McCormack done a lot of work with the welfare officer, and he saw it as well. Like I like to think I'm a good judge of character and how respectful he was, and how much of a laugh we had, and how open he was, and just a top bloke. And I knew he had these problems, and to know that he had this sporting chance stuff, and he was sorting it all out was quite refreshing for me. It was just nice to know that he was moving in the right direction. And obviously the Zak we know today is miles different to the old Zak, but he's still the bloke I met kind of 5 years ago. Just a lot more switched on, and just knows himself a lot better.
I imagine sort of sitting there in your house one evening in the living room, fires on. There must have been some pretty deep conversations going on, because you've been through a shitload of things.
Yeah, we did a bit, didn't we?
That's the beauty of Sarge. Like I said to him after I spent time, I said, I love him to bits. We could literally go from golf, being in tears, laughing for 3 hours,
and we talk some shit.
We do.
Let me just clear that.
To watching Harry Potter. Bear in mind.
About him.
To going so deep, people would think, "What the hell are them two on about?" But we can just switch to deep to funny, and we totally get each other. And he helped me massively, and I'd like to have helped him as well. But just talking, he's that kind of guy where you can talk about anything, and I could ring him up tomorrow and say, "Hey mate, this is not going well, blah blah," and he'd meet me for a coffee and we'd talk about whatever it is, and it was great. I think it was a massive part of helping me.
Almost more than any group like Sporting Church, as great as they are, would be the fact that it's so natural and organic that you just sit there and let it flow.
I think it's when you're going through something with somebody else, like playing rugby together or training together, they get you as well, they get your environment. Whereas the guys at Sporting Chance, probably, they have their own issues to talk about, but sometimes you need to bounce your ideas off people that know your lifestyle and know what's expected of you on a weekend. And
I think sometimes, with the whole kind of therapy-based thing, which has been about for years and years and years, where you just sit in a room opposite each other and you just talk about what you're going through and you be completely honest. I think 90% of it is just knowing that someone else is kind of feeling the way you're feeling. You're not alone. I know it sounds a bit cheesy. I know it's very fit, but but just kind of feeling the kind of pain that Zak would go through as he was telling these kind of stories about being locked up and stuff. The kind of anxiety I'd feel would be like, wow, that's what I feel, but in a different context. And it just brings you together. Do you know what I mean? You feel each other, and you feel that empathy for each other, and it's very healing.
Do you think that's because probably both of you in different ways put on a performance almost and put on a front, like everyone does, but probably more so in both your cases, that, you know, Zak, with everything that you'd gone through, and look, you haven't killed anyone, have you? You know what I mean? You've been treated perhaps like you have over the years, but that's what comes with the territory. But, you know, Dan, you've been through some brutal times. I cannot imagine what that must have been like for you. You know, you lost your brother. Was it 2 days before you then played in the Super 8s?
Yeah. It was the morning after we beat Saints. So my family was up, and it was genuinely one of the, not the highs of my life, but of your playing career. Like, I think it was away at Saints. I might be completely wrong. People might tweet in and say it was different. That's how I remember it. Sorry. But yeah, just waking up the next morning to like a missed call off my little brother. I'll probably be the first person to ever cry on a podcast here, but don't feel awkward around it or whatever. But yeah, just waking up that next morning and getting a call from Norway where he lived, and just getting that call that we needed to get out there ASAP was just the most heartbreaking thing I've ever been through. And
this was Adam. He was 23.
Yeah.
I mean, mate, it's we can't even put that into a picture of how that must feel. And I guess, well, firstly, getting back on the horse again, Dan, and playing, was that the best thing for you? Was that just, you felt like you had to do that? How did you do that? How did you put that to one side? What was happening?
Looking back, mate, I don't know. I honestly don't know. And I don't know if I'd recommend it to someone else. I don't really know if I went back, would I do it any differently? It was just such a blur, mate. I don't remember much of what was going on. I just remember seeing the boys kind of a couple of days later and just thinking, I'm not letting these boys down. Like, I'm not pulling out now, so my mouth's going proper dry.
No. Mate, if there's anything you don't want to talk about, we'll move on and talk about something else. But I think it's so important that you spit this out in terms of people listening and people watching, because exactly, it will help them, and the whole talking about these things. Talk about the word taboo before. People don't talk about these things. People don't open up, and I guess that would have been a regular thing. You would have been getting tweets and texts. It's the same, isn't it, when anyone dies? But obviously those circumstances were so tender. People would have just said, I don't know how you feel, and I can't put myself in that situation. And it must have been a blur for you, the whole.
Yeah, it really was. I remember the Huddersfield game, and at the time I was really struggling. The time I'd get most upset was when I was trying to kind of deal with two emotions at the same time. So if I was really nervous for the game, which I always get, I obviously had the sadness of my little brother as well, and balancing them two emotions just sent me in like a whirlwind. It's hard to explain. I don't know if anyone's ever had that kind of feeling, but
try and describe it. I mean, I feel sick trying to understand that.
It's like I'm looking around the room, and I've put in all this pressure on. I always put pressure on myself just to be like to work the hardest out on the field. That's all I want to. I'm not a great sportsman. I just like to work hard, and I like seeing the effort kind of appreciated by the boys. I love that feeling, and to try and offer that, but at the same time, be like trying to. I don't know how to explain it. I'm consciously trying to feel up for the game, but there's something miles bigger in the background, like an elephant in the room, where I'm just having to distract myself from that the whole time. And I remember the Huddersfield game. I had to. Half time I burst out crying. I had to go out and warm up. This was mid-speech. It wasn't. I think Wayne was kind of drilling us for something, and I just wasn't there. I wasn't listening to what he was saying, anything he was saying. I just still couldn't get to grips with what had happened.
How did you play, by the way?
I think I just run like a maniac, but probably technically not good. But my effort was there. Yeah,
on the field, was that a bit of a release because you've got to concentrate solely on what's going on? Was it a bit of quite cathartic that you can kind of stop those feelings and stop what's going through your mind for the rest of the day?
Yeah, it was. It would be the only kind of 80 minutes where I probably wouldn't. Once I'm out there playing, it was the only 80 minutes of that kind of 6-month period or 3-month period, where I wouldn't think about him. So it was quite refreshing. But then afterwards, I just have this avalanche of emotions just come grab me, and after the games would be pretty tough to sleep and stuff. Yeah.
Did they let you make that decision? Did Sean sort of say, look, I can't say I don't want you to play, it was down to you?
Yeah. Sean was like amazing with it. Like George Williams at the time, it was a weird, I sound like a little baby, but the day I got back I didn't want to sleep on my own. I didn't want to sleep in a house on my own. I had that much anxiety and I was that upset. I just didn't want to be in a house on my own. And George, bless him, slept next door and brought like a little wash kit and that. Do you know what I mean? Just come over for the night. And George was amazing food, but everyone was unbelievable, mate. Everyone was unbelievable. And if I was in a different environment where I was kind of secluded or something, I don't know how I'd have got through it.
And you know, Adam was a big fan of yours in terms of what you were doing. He used to watch you, didn't he? He was on your journey.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, and I remember him saying when we won the grand final, just him seeing how happy I was, him saying it was like the best day of his life, just sticks with me forever, really. Yeah. So I'll get a bit choked up.
No, that's beautiful, that, mate.
But, you know, you obviously have. This is why it's so difficult, isn't it? Because all the memories come flooding back and so on. And at that time, I know you went on obviously from that Super 8 game, and you went to play in the grand final, and you won the grand final.
Yep.
And your gran was in the stands, your family were in the stands. I mean, the emotion that day, and to actually know that your mission was, you know, I'm not saying you weren't doing it for Wigan, but you were doing it for a much bigger cause, weren't you?
Just absolute relief. I don't know, I don't know, imagine being crushed by 10 boulders and just getting out of it alive. Like, that's what it felt like for me. Like, the night before, I was up in the team room crying till about 4 in the morning. And 3, 4 in the morning, I remember I'd gone for about an hour and a half, 2 hours of it. Cleaners had come in and out, look at me, go, what the hell's wrong with you? And I just kind of look at them as if to say, get out. And yeah, I was in there for a while, and usually I could kind of pull through it and then get to bed, but I didn't want to go back to my room where I was sharing with Gilly and cry and wake him up, which is what I nearly did the first time. So I went down there. I was down there for about 2 hours, and then I thought, I can't do this. I'm going to have to text Steve McCormack. He come down with Mark Bitcon, a few of the other staff. Fair play to them, they're amazing, sat with me. Still probably cried for about an hour, just talking life, talking deep, and eventually, mate, I was that exhausted, went back up, fell asleep, and the next day the nerves just took over, I suppose, from my actual emotions, and just went out there and just again tried to do my best.
It's never going to disappear, that pain, is it? And I know people listening, watching would have lost people that are really, really close to them. Yeah. How do you describe it then? Does it evolve into something that you can cope with, or how is it sort of on a day-to-day basis?
I think I know a lot of people say it, but it's so true. You can't really control how you're going to deal with it. Like you don't know how long it's going to take to kind of accept it. It's so true that there's so many different phases, and I've only really come to accept it probably the last month or so. Like, I've had a really good month. Like, I see people at Sporting Chance. Colin Bland's been amazing. Big shout out to him.
Big shout out, Colin.
I did say I'll give him a big shout out. He deals a bit with Zak as well, so I thought we'll definitely get his name on there. He's been wicked. And yeah, I've been telling them all, I've just had an amazing month. Like, even the last kind of 3-4 months, I've still been at training, laughing, joking. But the minute I get home, I'll get out. I'll get home and I'll kind of have like an hour crying on my rug with my dog and that, just cuddling him. And but yeah, like this last month, I've been going back to London a bit more, seeing my family, and it's really helped me.
And does it feel? I mean, do you feel angry at what happened? I mean, how do you sort of justify and sort of piece it together? Because it must be so hard to accept as just my brother's gone. I
think once I stopped feeling sorry for myself, I'll openly admit I felt sorry for myself.
As you should do, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't believe in comparison but I would rely on a lot of that to kind of try and get me through it. I'd kind of think, oh, what about in Syria? All these innocent kids, one bomb, bang, 50 kids gone. I try and compare it to that, and maybe someone would lose someone, like all their family members at once, and I'd really try and, I don't know why, no one ever taught me to do that, but I thought there must be ways of kind of psychologically talking myself down.
Because you think there's always something worse that's happening, but
there's
something bad that happened to you, it's fine. Like that's okay to feel sad about that. I don't think you should have to compare.
No. So I think I was doing it wrong for a long while. I was trying to make myself feel better, and I'm not sure really what I've done differently this last month, apart from go back and see my family and seeing that they're kind of a bit better week in, week out, like makes me unbelievably happy. They'll never be completely fine, but they're getting a lot better.
It's like a Hollywood script, though. The fact that you put on your, and I'm not exaggerating at all, I stand by that. The fact you stick on your Super Bowl ring, your grand final ring.
Bit better than the Super League one.
The Super Bowl's always a bit better, aren't they? You stick on your grand final ring, and you stand there at Old Trafford, and I was there. I mean, I was probably stood a metre from you on the pitch afterwards, and had no idea of this. I knew the story, but had no idea of the whole story, as it were. That moment when you put that on, and then you go and see your mum and your family and your gran, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
How because I also think, I'm just thinking out loud here, but I'm thinking, had you lost that game, how it's almost like you had to win that game for your brother.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah. I hope if we'd have lost it, I'd have hopefully felt a bit differently. But there would have been a lot of that. I mean, if I'd have had a bad game, I don't know, it would have took me a long while to get over that. Because there was only one thing in my mind. I wanted to go out there and just do my best for him, as I do week in, week out now. So it's a massive motivation for me. I love him to bits, miss him to bits, but I'm doing what he would want me to do.
Yeah, 100%. And look, I guess, Zach, it's an example, isn't it? And Mark and Dan and everyone, and Mark, that people do see you on the outside as, maybe not so much in rugby league and more so in football and so on, but people do see you guys as just things, big machines who run around, and you shouldn't be thinking about all these sorts of things. And this, if anything, is the most fantastic example to people watching, that everyone's going to have their struggles, and you can't just be expected to carry on and behave like robots. And
it's like in everyday life, if your dog's not well, you ring up work. I can't go in tomorrow. Dog's not well, and that's fine. we can't go. Sorry, dog's not well. It's like, well, take it to a relative. Then, or you've got to be there, day in, day out. Put your body through it. Probably more or less now, if you spoke about if something's actually going on in your life, they are good at stuff like that. But you are expected to be there most of the time. So, something could be going on, but Friday night against St Helens, you're expected to give a 10 out of 10 performance, and if not, you get slated for it, and social media plays a big part, and someone on a Saturday morning might see you at Morrison's, and they let you know, do you know what I mean? But whereas everyone else can just book a day off, or, in July, I'll just have a week off, I'll go to, I don't know, Spain somewhere, Alicante or whatever, but we're human beings.
The show has to go on.
That's it.
And we are so lucky to do what we do. Right?
Yeah,
we all probably dreamed of it as a kid, but on the flip side, it's a different world to having like a normal job. I say, because there is pressure and there is expectations to do what you're told when you're told, and there's pressure that we probably put on ourselves, and handling those emotions and handling those pressures. We probably do it the same as other people, but we're probably we've got our standards of behaviours different, and we can't do what other people do, and we have to be better, but it does come with its perils and its obstacles at times. And
then people that say to you, Zach, and you must see things on social media and Instagram and Twitter, and you're not, just because you're involved in the world that you're involved in doesn't mean you're excluded from that.
Of course,
you must see things where people go, look, he's had all the chances he deserves. Why you probably had more chances than you deserve, they would say. What would you say to that?
I don't know, 'cause it could have gone so differently. If Wigan said, right, that's your chance gone, then where would I have gone from there? Would I have got another club?
And they could have quite easily ripped up, was it a 5-year contract? They could have ripped that up, couldn't they?
Of course, yeah. So it's like, say if the scenario Wigan said that, then where do I go? Do another club try and take a punt on me? Do I swindle around? Do I not rugby on the head? It's, what I mean? I don't know why I keep getting given chances. I like to think it's because I'm actually a decent lad. It's just I've just got in trouble a few times. You know what I mean? But
and how's your lifestyle now? You don't drink, do you?
I've had a couple of drinks. Yeah, but I don't go out. I've not been to no nightclubs. It's
just in moderation, and
it's so different.
Sensible drinking.
Yeah.
But those situations, in all seriousness, that situation is going to come again, where there is going to, because you're quite right, you're well within your rights to have a couple of drinks. You're a 27-year-old lad. It's not as if you should be going down the Tony Adams sobriety route. I mean, So there is going to come that situation where you're going to be in a nightclub and you're going to be in a situation where people are doing drugs or whatever.
Yeah.
And now, I guess for you, it's just a case of, I mean, how do you feel about that situation that's going to come?
Yeah, look, I you know, if someone offered me that now, I just have flashbacks of what's happened to me, and not necessarily just for me, but my family, my friends, and everyone. The thing is with me, put me in a cell 14 hours, it'll hurt, but I can handle that. If you do something else bad to me, I can handle that, but my mum can't handle that, my stepdad can't handle that, my family can't handle that, and that's what hurts me even more. If my mum sat down at crying after the cocaine thing, my mum was on sick from work. She didn't leave the house for 3 months. She got all depressed. So to see that from my mum hurt me even more. So yeah, you took rugby away from me for 16 months. That does hurt. But my mum not leaving the house, not going to the local supermarket because my name's plastered all over the papers for cocaine, that hurts even more. So for me, my life now is not just my life. I look at the bigger picture. So me punching someone in the face, yeah, that might get a release good for me, but is that going to cause my mum grief? Is that going to cause my family grief? Is that going to cause someone else? I always look at it at the bigger picture now, not just myself. So I always think, right, if all lads are going to a nightclub at 12 o'clock and it's going to get a bit leery, is that the right decision for me? Instead of thinking about it at 12 o'clock when I'm in there, boogieing, I'll think about that. Boogieing.
You saw his shape, you know it's just a boogie.
Yeah.
It's not a body pop.
I'll think about it at 10 o'clock and say, right, that's not the right call. And I've done that this year already. You know, the lads have gone out and I've said, no, I'm not going out, and stayed at home with missus, which hurt a little bit, but I felt so good the next day. And it's happened a few times, to be fair. The boys have gone out for a beer and I've gone out with them a little bit and I've gone home 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and they've all gone out, and, you know, I see them next morning, they're all rough and they're all eating takeaways, and I'm fine. So I do look at the bigger picture now. It's not, I've been probably quite selfish with decisions I've made and all the things that I've done in the past, whereas now I always think about my girlfriend, my family, my friends. So yeah.
And I guess the situation with you is it has to be rugby, because you're 27 years old, you've achieved so much, you'd won 3 grand finals before the age of 24.
Yeah.
Man of Steel, 2015.
Yeah.
I mean, the world's your oyster in terms of what you can achieve on the rugby field, and it is not going to last forever. You've got another 6 years of this if you're lucky.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and it's, you know, sometimes I think it's not a bad thing, but winning all that at such a young age and a good team was a bit of a downfall because I've been so lucky. I do admit, probably the 2011-2012 season, I was a bit of I always say I was a bit of a passenger in that Leeds team. I wasn't a massive standout, but I wasn't a poor player. I just did my job. Whereas, you know, it got to 2015 and I felt like I did play a massive part in winning that treble. And then 2017 when I played at Cass, I felt like I had a really big impact and involvement in the team, so that's why it hurt me more so. Whereas, you know, the early stages of my Leeds career, I felt like, you know, the stars that were in that team were unbelievable. I just felt like I was there for the journey, I did my job. So that's why all the things that I did younger, I don't really think about. And it's a bit weird when you sit down and say, look, you've won this, and this. And it's like, oh, right,
Do you care if people think you're a wanker? No, seriously.
I used to. Nah, I don't give monkeys now. Because, other people's comments are irrelevant. The people who...
But you like to think people will listen to things like this and actually see who you are.
Yeah, but I'll get someone that says, yeah, that's really good insight, thank you for telling us, you know, the cocaine thing, that really helps, blah, blah, blah. But then I'll get someone who says, yeah, you're a massive knob. So it's each to their own. And
do you care if people think you're a wanker?
Not really, no.
Not really.
Not really.
Oh,
a little bit in there.
But it's... Less people think I'm a wanker because less people know who I am, but everyone knows who Zak is. So more people think he might be a wanker.
Proportionally, a lot more people who know you're a wanker.
No, but it's interesting, isn't it? Because that is important for you to have, that you don't care and that you just do that. You yourself and you do the right things.
Yeah, well, when I was younger, you know, I used to like the flash cars and drive around fast, and everyone know me, and I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be the best looking. I wanted to be, and that's the ego that I did have a few years ago. Whereas now, you know, I'm losing my hair.
Well, I wasn't going to bring the hair.
I currently don't drive, so, you know, there's a lot of things I'm not that bothered about anymore.
I, for the record, don't think you're a wanker. I think you're a great lad, and I want to meet you today. However, I think we could improve you.
Yeah.
And Oliver Gill, that was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and he said that you are thinking about having a hair
Yeah,
transplant.
I
Can you
want to
confirm
pick
that
a
for
bone
the
with
record?
him tomorrow at training. Look, there's.
This could be our pitch, though. This
Yeah,
could be our pitch.
yeah. We'll pitch it out there. So do you want to speak about it first? And then
You,
we'll pitch.
Michael Vaughan,
No,
Shane
no,
Warne,
let's
you
just-
could
let's
be on
just
the back
make
of
it
the
up.
Daily Mail and a little column on the right.
Yeah, well, at Wigan, this. My hairline does go back, but not that much. But I've always had long hair, so
You're saying this next to me, though, who's twice as bad as you.
yeah.
Maybe this
So-
is the punishment for all the things you've done
Yeah,
wrong.
I know. I think it is. I think all the stress that I've caused myself. My hair's come out, and it's a big talking point at training. There's me, you size in there.
Yeah.
There's Liam Marshall who doesn't think he's in there, but he is.
Yeah.
Um,
There's loads of us.
There's a few Salford lads that are thinking about having like a group trip to Turkey at the end of the year.
well, this
And
is
all
what this
chipping
is
in and getting a
what, this is
bulk
what
deal.
Sarge is proposing. Whether we
Sarge
can get,
is the main man
We'll
behind
charter a
it.
flight. I reckon
well,
we charter
I
a
reckon
flight.
everyone
50 of us.
everyone's season more or less finishes near enough the same September, October. So why don't we get someone who someone's listening? I could reel off 20 lads who have got bad airline in Super League.
Luke Gale
Moment.
needs to go again, I think, doesn't he?
Does he?
Just a bit more at the front. Yeah.
Bit wispy.
Drastically better than what it was. He looked like the
better.
Archbishop of Canterbury.
So I'm going to expect
I
every year.
know. I know Josh Griffin. He's going this year.
Yeah, he went last year.
Yeah, he's booked in for this year, getting it done. But I think there's at least 20 of us. If we get a package deal, Turkey, 3 days. Enjoy a bit of sun
as well. Yeah.
Bit of sun.
All about that.
I'll join you as well. I'm wearing this cap. So
Yeah.
Oh,
He's showing off. He's showing off.
killing me.
He's showing off.
Oh, I hate it when people do that. When they pull it back like a millimetre and go, I'm going. I'm like, have you not seen me? I'm like a Mohican.
Listen, a nice light note to finish on. I really appreciate you guys, coming in and being so honest, because I think it's so important that people have an insight. And I know the rugby league fraternity know you a lot more than I do and other people do, but I think that is so important to show your true colours and the way you want to go from here, Zach. So I really appreciate that. And Dan as well for talking about your brother like that, because I can't imagine what you go through every day. And lots of love, mate. And great to see that you're killing it and doing what you're doing.
Thanks, boys.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, enjoyed it.
Class, yeah, really
Mark,
enjoyed it.
as always,
Thanks.
great input.
Not saying much.
I was going to give you one then, mate. No,
That's all right.
We love you as well, Mark. Don't forget, you can download Out of Your League on Apple Podcasts. I think it's called now, Mark's. Spotify, Podbean, various
Your
other
local
things.
podcast provider.
Your local podcast provider. You can get in touch with us at Super League. Use the hashtag Out of Your League, and we will see you little buggers soon.